Hi there, Christine. This is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your beauty. Always makes me happy when somebody buys one of these nice old 158 series Kenmores, because they're just such great quality machines. Anyway, this is your new machine, and this is the final test before we pack her up to ship her to you. And mention first that when I ship her, I'm going to take your hinge pins off. Your thread spool pins off, and I'll tape them to something anyway, so that they don't get lost. And then you just screw them back in. There's even a screwdriver slot in the top if you want to use that. So in this video, we're going to go over how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, how to work the various controls here. This machine's got the stretch stitches, that do the back and forth motion. We'll go over that, and my chair seems to be low. I don't know why my chair feels low. Probably because I set it low. It'll be all right. So, without further ado, let's wind a bobbin. And I see that I already have a bobbin here that's got a whole bunch of white thread on it, so I'm just going to use that for my supply. And your bobbin is under here in the bobbin case. The bobbin case has a little latch on the side that if you pull it out, there you go. And you'll be able to just slide your bobbin case out with the bobbin in it. And as long as you're holding that little latch out, your bobbin won't drop out. But when you're ready to drop it out, just let go of the latch and right into your hand. And let's see. It's a lot of thread. I'll just pull it. So how are things in Massachusetts? That's one place that I've never been. Although, of course, I've heard about it all my life. I guess I just don't get out much. And don't worry about this old thread. I get loads and loads and loads of thread that comes in with used machines that I buy. And there's always a bunch of thread on the bobbins. It's pretty stuff, though. I know people that collect the thread off of various bobbins like this and then make art out of it. Okay, so this is your bobbin. This is your bobbin winder. You put your thread spool on the spool pin. Take the thread through the, let's see, I guess we don't have to go through the thread guide there. We'll just go straight to the bobbin winder tensioner, and we're going to go around the bobbin winder tensioner one time in there's a little spring-loaded slot there. You're just going to go around one time so the thread crosses back over itself and back to the bobbin winder. Then we're going to put a few wraps on the bobbin just to hold the thread in place while it winds. Then, with the thread coming onto the bobbin around the back this way, put the bobbin on the bobbin winder. Push this lever in, it'll go right inside the bobbin, and as the bobbin spins and fills with thread, it's going to push this lever further and further out until when the bobbin is full, it'll just push it away from the bobbin winder and it'll stop winding so you don't get thread all over the place. So push that lever in, declutch your machine by turning the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel towards you. A quarter turn or so, you'll feel it hit its stop there. And Now the hand wheel is disengaged from the rest of the machine, so the bobbin, the hand wheel can spin the bobbin winder and wind the bobbin without making everything else cycle. So here we go. We're going to give it a little bit of gas, and I like to keep my finger on the source here so that the thread spool doesn't spin out of control and make a tangled up mess. So here we go. Winding nice and even. As long as you don't get the thread underneath your spool. That should be plenty for our test. When you're done winding your bobbin, reclutch your machine by tightening the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel. Pull the lever back out of the bobbin, lift your bobbin off, and then with the thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop it into the bobbin case. Guide the thread into this little slanted slot at the bottom, then up and under the flat leaf spring here, which is your lower tension. If you ever need to adjust your lower tension, which is usually pretty rare, but in certain sewing situations, this little screw right here, you just loosen or tighten it a little bit as desired, but just a hair, quarter, eighth of a turn at a time until you get the tension that you want. And when you get the tension right, the bobbin case is going to just barely dangle without unspooling. That's about how much tension you want. You want it to be almost ready to unspool. Okay, remember that latch on the front. You hold on to that latch, and with this little finger on the bobbin case pointing up, so it goes into its slot at the top of the bobbin race, you slide it onto the spindle in the center of the hook there, the hook and the bobbin race. It's all one assembly there. Okay, now these are your spare bobbins. I'm going to put them here and do my very best not to forget to include them. And your needle plate just snaps right into place. So with your thread down inside the hole there, put the two little fingers under the needle plate back there and then press down. It just snaps right into place. And this has a cool feature here. If you want to go from zigzag sewing to straight stitch sewing, you can just pull this little insert for the needle plate. You just turn it around. It's a straight stitch hole on one side and zigzag. What do you call a long hole? I'm sure there's a word for it. So you can just reverse it. Use either one, depending on what you're sewing. And when you're done and ready to switch it back, just slide it right back into place. And it'll set right down in there. You'll know when you got it. This is your feed drop for your feed dogs. If it's in the U position for up, if you want to do darning or machine embroidery or applique or quilting or something like that, and you want the feed dogs to drop down so you can do the moving, just turn it over to the left like that and release the pressure on the sewing foot. Just press down on this little collar here and up it pops, and then all the pressure is off of your presser foot. And then you can move the fabric around but you will. When you're done, push back down roughly halfway. Halfway is about the ballpark for enough pressure. You want just enough pressure that it moves the fabric along with authority, you know, without slipping or anything. Okay, so press this back down halfway, put the feed drop back in the U position, and you're ready to go. So let's thread the machine, and then we'll get into the other stuff over here. Put your spool on the spool pin, go into the thread guide on the back. It's got a curly Q. Thread guide on the front also has a curly Q. And then straight down between the discs of the tension assembly. And come all the way back around until you pick up this little thin wire. Sorry about that. We ran out of disk space and I had to delete a couple of things. So we went from the thread spool to the thread guide on the back, thread guide in the front, straight down between the discs of the tension assembly. Come all the way around until you pick up this little thin wire spring here, which is your check spring. And then just keep on pulling until your thread goes all the way up to the top and into the notch there at the top. Then if you pull up on your thread, you'll see the check spring move. You'll know you got it right. Go into this thread guide here. Okay, back. Through the take-up lever, which is this thingy here. Into the other side of this big thread guide here. And down into this thread guide here, it just pushes right in. Into this thread guide at the above the needle. There's two of them here in case you're using a double needle. So just choose either one. It doesn't matter which one you use. Go into that thread guide and then through the eye of the needle from the front towards the back. And it makes it a lot easier to get the thread through the eye of the needle if you cut a nice fresh end with no frays on it. To push the thread away from the needle. Sorry about my noisy chair. It's old, like me. Through the needle from front to back, then holding your needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution. And the needle will take the thread down, where the hook will pick it up, wrap it around the bobbin, and bring up your lower thread. So here we go, one full revolution, needle goes down, needle comes back up, and when you get to the top of that, see, there's your bottom thread. Raise your presser foot and put the threads under the presser foot towards the back of the machine. And put your project under the presser foot and lower the presser foot using the lever on the back here. This is your stitch. Yeah, this one would be your stitch length, and this one is your stitch width, and also the control for your different stitches. But this is your stitch length, and 12 is kind of the ballpark average stitch. You can go larger or smaller than that, but 12 is a good place to start. This little lever here, that's your reverse. You want to back tack and reinforce the end of a seam, just back tack with that. You'll notice that there is a funny looking little, well, I guess not funny looking, it's kind of cute, little switch here. or indicator or selector. I guess it's a selector. There's a white dot on this side, a red dot on this side. When this selector is pointed towards the red dot, you're doing single stitches. You're just going in one direction. It's for your regular sewing. So we're going to leave our stitch width on S for now for straight stitch. So there's no zigzag at all. It's just going to go in a straight line. And good idea to hold your thread for the first stitch or two. And away you go. Ooh, listen to that. What a sweet sound machine. Now, when you're in the red mode, you're going to see that each of the different selection of stitch pattern down here has a white mark and a red mark. And the red mark, of course, is the one directional stitch pattern, and the white is stitch stitch. So I'm going to select, well, first let's just add some stitch width, make a zigzag. I'm going to go all the way up to 4. S is no zigzag, 1 is a little tiny zigzag. It gets wider and wider and wider as you go up. I'm just going to go all the way up to 4. Now that same straight stitch is going to be doing the same thing, but now the needle is going to go back and forth and make a zigzag. Okay, I'm going to go back to S for now, the straight stitch, and we're going to select a different stitch pattern. So let's do this kind of scallopy looking one. You're going to want some zigzag on that, so I'm going to start at about 2. It's up to you where you put it, just, you know, to your taste. And it's a good idea also to bring your stitch length down into the red zone. Now the closer you get to 0, the more your stitch is going to hump up a little bit, and if you get too close to 0, your fabric's going to stop moving, and it's just going to, needles are going to go up and down and make a ball of thread under the needle plate, and everything will be, you'll have to stop and cut it out and start over. So go down into the red, but don't go all the way down into the red. So are we set? I think we're set. Let's see. I'm going to give it a little more ziggity zaggity just for demonstration's sake. Okay. Something, eh? Oh, I see. Where did our lower thread go? Oh, lower thread broke. All right, let's do that again. Thread, and between the toes of the presser foot and towards the back of the machine. Fabric back in place, and here we go. Okay, yeah, that's doing You're not going to be able to see it, but the pattern's going like that. It looks good. I'll hold it up. Chances are you will not be able to see it. Maybe you can see that scallop stitch there. If I had used a darker color, it would be easier. Now, suppose we wanted to try something fancy. We're going to do that same stitch, but now we're going to switch it over from the red to the white. And anytime you change an adjustment over here, always raise your needle up out of the fabric. You're less likely to bend a needle that way. Okay, so we're leaving the stitch pattern selection the same, but we're going from single direction to bi-directional stretch stitch. And here we go. I guess I want a little more stitch length than that because it's going backwards. Up our bobbin thread. You can see it's that same scallop design, but quite a bit fancier. I'll do one more just for fun. And I'm going to go back to red, and I'm going to go over to, I like this stitch. I'm really not sure what it's called. It looks like a diamond pattern. But first we're going to do it in the red, and I believe it's just going to look like a zigzag. Just a single direction. Yeah, it's a multi-stitch zigzag. But now, needles up, I'm going to go over to the white. So we have a stretch stitch going, and let's see, I think that I want stitch width at about 2 if I remember right, and stitch length probably about the same. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a little more stitch length. More stitch width. It's kind of hunt and peck with this thing until you get just the pattern you want. There we go. Yeah, I could use just a little smidge more adjusting to get the perfect diamond pattern, but it's getting there. Pretty close. What else? I think that pretty much covers it. Oil your machine every 15 or so hours of use, and when you do that, there are 2 screws on the needle plate. Take out the 2 screws, take your needle plate off, and brush and vacuum out all the dust and stuff that collects in there, because that dust is abrasive and it will wear on things inside. Your tension. I have it set up so that the ballpark tension is around 3. And your mark is down here at the bottom. So you set the tension at about 3 on the very bottom here. And that'll give you a nice even lock stitch. If you're using different fabric, different thread, you're going to have to adjust your tension up or down. But again, just a little tiny smidge at a time until you get just what you want. And I think that's it. I'm so happy for you. You're going to like this machine. So this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. And thank you again, Christine, so much. We appreciate your patronage. If you have, not you, Christine, but somebody else, if anybody else has wandered into this video and you're interested, we are Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. We are on Stagecoach Road in the Coast Range of Oregon. Well, our regular shop is. We're in our winter shop right now down in the Sonoran Desert. But we're on Stagecoach Road in Oregon, so we are stagecoachroadsewing.com. And that's where you'll find us, or find Stagecoach Road Sewing on Etsy. I don't always keep up with the website as well as I could, so there might be more machines available from us on Etsy than there are on our webpage at this time. So stagecoachroadsewing.com. We'll see you there. Oh, and Christine, this is your on and off button.